courage, vision, resilience. It's more than just a journey. It's a universe of endless possibility, where a single idea can change a man's life, creating new worlds from the ground up. I am Ricky. I'm your guide through the epic stories of Web3 pioneers. Join me and enjoy the podcast. The Tales of Web3.
Yo, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Tales of Web3, where we dive into the stories behind the most epic builders in the space. For season 2, episode 4, we have the co-founder of Vana, Anna, to join us. How are you, Anna?
Good, doing well.
I'm really excited to have you in the podcast, and I have prepared some very exciting questions to dive into your journey. The first question I have is, obviously I've done my research about your own website, all these podcasts you've been going there before. You have a pretty diverse background, right? I think you've been working at all these Federal Reserves, like the trading center, and also you have your own AI startup, right? I think it's a machine learning company. And you're as a AI heavy person with AI background. Right now you're pivoting a little bit, right? To explore the AI across blockchain space. Tell us a little bit more about that, right? Because I feel like you definitely figured out a problem that AI is facing that can be solved best using the blockchain technology. So I wanted to learn more about that, and then along all these parts of your journey before, what is the one experience that you had really shaped who you are today?
Yeah, I think everyone in crypto has had some early experience where they really just kind of fall in love with the technology and decentralization and how powerful crypto can be in terms of allowing a large group of people to govern something that would otherwise be centralized. For me, like you mentioned, the federal, unusual, obviously, for
100%.
Federal Reserve, what was I doing over there? So I was super interested in traditional currency. To me, so I was really interested in economics, and I was sort of researching in high school, okay, what's the foundational unit within economics? And I kept coming to currency, and I was like, okay, that's really who dictates all of it. So I became fascinated with federal banks, just central banks, right? Federal Reserve, any sort of central bank. And I put up a picture of Janet Yellen, chair of the Fed, in my high school bedroom. I found a way to work at the Federal Reserve as well, kind of doing research there. And to me, it was currency is the fundamental unit of the economy. So whoever controls that has a very outsized influence on society, the economy, etc. When I got, and so I've also worked at I worked at the European Central Bank, the World Bank. I'm really fascinated by these institutions, and so was largely working there, doing research out there, because I find them super interesting. When I got to MIT, there was the 5% MIT Bitcoin Club, which I joined because I was decentralized currencies. This could be.
It's cool.
Exactly. I'm I like currency. What else can we do here? And so I found, early MIT Bitcoin Club, and everyone there was very ideologically motivated, right? Of how do you create a self-sovereign, decentralized financial network, right? Rather than relying on a single central bank, which sort of manages a currency. Can you have that owned by many different people? And actually, when I had been at the Fed, I had gotten to see in their basement, they have like walls and walls of straight up money, but only robots can go there and move it around, right? And so to me, when I learned about like crypto mining, I was like, whoa, like I can operate basically this, right? It is like the distribution and creation of new funds, but in a decentralized way. So I started learning about mining. I was a like broke college student at the time. And so I actually was going to like the dumpsters of MIT where you could find old computers people had gotten rid of. And always parts of them were broken, but you could stitch them together, right? And you could find a GPU.
Damn.
And like go.
That's cool. That's cool.
So I would like hit up the loading docks, like the dumpsters, like multiple times a week just to get that consistency and try to find GPUs, and was able to kind of build out a mining setup that way, which was just literally running in my dorm room with free electricity. And to me, that was like the first entry point into the world of decentralization and really like actively participating. So that is the crypto journey, right? Of kind of being able to see how can you use just like math and cryptography and sort of, interesting math to decentralize or something. On the AI side, so I was coming at AI from an econometrics background. So I'd been coding since like middle school on a graphing calculator, but to me, it was always interesting to kind of model data from a statistics perspective. And
statistics,
pure statistics, which
That's
you could
cool.
argue AI is just really fancy.
Yeah.
But so I started taking classes and I was like, okay, like what are the different sorts of ways you can model data, which is then what led me to CSAIL, which is MIT's kind of AI lab. And I was working with Regina Barzilay, who was kind of this leader in natural language processing, who, was helping me learn about these different ways of modeling data and really like frontier leading AI models. And so that's how I first got exposed to AI, like back in 2017, started training AI models, was like, oh, data is really what matters here. And then took some of that research and actually automated my job as an intern at the World Bank sorting documents. And so then from there, I know it was literally I was like, oh my God. Right. And I was like constantly like flying back and forth from like Boston to Washington DC. And I was
That's
like,
cool.
God,
That's cool.
The whole company here. And so then I like dropped out of school, went through YC and kind of learned like this whole world of Silicon Valley, which I hadn't discovered previously. Like I had literally only worked at central banks and research institutions. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like you can kind of build a for-profit model around a mission and then really accelerate the adoption of it. And so, yes, that's kind of the AI journey. And an important part too is how I met my co-founder, Art. So he was in grad school at Harvard when I was doing my undergrad. And we were experimenting early on with, because I was obsessed with like data and how to get the best data and how to use like decentralized methods to get it. And so, that's how we initially started working together many, many years ago.
That's beautiful. I can also see why I'm super like interested right now, like doubling down data, because data is the next generation or even is this generation's currency.
Exactly.
Right. Like there's no more. Like, the digital. Yes. I really like it. Like I think you guys also have like a blog, to put it that way. I really loved it. Right. Like people have been scammed. They don't know how much value, or they don't know what the data sovereignty like means to them. Right. And that's why I think that the problem that you guys are trying to solve is important and is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you put it, I think a lot of people see data ownership as kind of an abstract concept. But if it is instead like, hey, do you want to own part of the next ChatGPT, right? Or do you want to own part of do you want exposure to AI? Like, yeah, totally, right? And it's your data that's really making the AI capable, and they can make the AI even better. So it's kind of a win-win on both sides.
100%. Yes. Well, like you've been like a serial entrepreneur. What do you think is your superpower as a founder? Because they all get their different superpowers, right? What is yours?
Yeah. I'm just thinking for a second. I don't want to give like a canned answer. I think that a lot of it is just about having a really strong conviction on a space quite early on, right? Like we started Vana like over 3 years ago, right? Like we've been building towards this kind of user-owned data space. You were mentioning you were watching my Stanford blockchain interview from 2 years ago.
Yeah, literally 2 years ago, and I saw exactly the same thing. I was amazed. Oh my God.
Is like honestly, we're a little too early to the market. And I think so I would say it's like persistence and really intense conviction about like, this is the way that the world should look. Like users should own their data. They should get paid like from the value that their data creates, and just a relentless ability to just like keep pursuing that. That's the number one thing I would mention. I think that it does help that I come from like a very technical, right? I'm an engineer by training. I've like trained a bunch of AI models and stuff like that. And so I think that being able to touch the technology really closely so you can see these early trends, right? Like I wrote an article in 2022 about how everyone could combine their data to like train foundation models. And today that is like maybe a little more consensus, but at the time that like honestly made no sense to most people. And so I think it's both like a technical ability to be able to see, hey, this could be possible, and also the ability to like have the conviction when like no one else has that conviction to just keep building it.
I really think that is like important skill a founder should have. Like basically it's like identifying the problem. In order to do that, you need to have very intense technical skills. But a lot of like the rest of the 99% of people, they know probably what is the problem are. They don't want it to dive deep because it's so fucking hard. There's so many obstacles.
And it takes it's just like, it's a journey, right? And you have to be almost to the point of like spiritually motivated to solve this problem. Like you have to be
100%,
like literally irrational obsession about like, wake up, like, okay, how do we solve this data ownership problem for like straight up 3 years, right? Like I've spent a very significant portion of my life literally just thinking about like, how do you get users to own their data and the AI models that they create.
And also I feel like another big part of it is turning a problem that everybody thinks like doesn't exist, but you feel like it's really important, turning that into an actual product or a company, and just start to get people actually believe in the vision. Like turning that something doesn't exist in people's mind, actually ship into something. I think that is the like the superpower. Like
it's hard. Like I think that even a couple of years ago, I was like, yeah, we're gonna have like venture funded projects building with user owned data and building like data unions, these data DAOs, and people are like, what is she talking about? And like people are willing to do that, right?
I feel you.
But now it's like, hey, look, there are projects like venture-backed projects building data DAOs, building with user-owned data, and it's been it's so much fun to see. It like brings me joy every day. I'm like, this is amazing. Oh my god.
I love it. I feel like a lot of the times, like especially when you're building a startup, like the way you perceive the world is different than a lot of people see the world, right? For example, a lot of people when they are choosing their career, they practice their skills. Right? For example, okay, I wanted to be the top BD guy, so I started to train like having all these calls, right, and try to sell people my product. Marketing guy, they try to practice their marketing skills. But I feel like for founders, right, like you are not looking to solve a very specific like skill. You're not trying to practice that. There's just a goal that you wanted to reach, and whatever the fuck you need to do to reach that goal, like you do whatever it takes. So I really think this is important, and then along this way, like you learn a lot of things. Right. So the next question is like, what is the biggest lesson, like the most fundamental ones that you learned ever since started building Vana?
Yeah, I'm just well, I think there's a fair amount on the hiring side, right? Like how to build a great team that's really focused on solving this very specific problem of like, how do you get users to own their data and the value it creates. So I think on the hiring side, understanding how to kind of like read whether someone's like mission driven and aligned, and sort of also seeing like, is a startup a good environment for somebody? And so I think like a ton of learnings on the hiring side, a ton of mistakes along the way, right? Of kind of figuring out.
Same. I feel you.
And then I'm just thinking, the other thing I would mention is early on, I think I took too much advice from other people, and I thought other people had the answers to my questions, right? And so I would ask for like product help. I was like, hey, like I want to build this like user-owned data ecosystem. So like, but I wasn't sure where to start from a product perspective. So I would ask like our investors and other people. And the reality is like, probably no one has those answers for you. Honestly, your users probably don't even have those answers, because you're building something like truly transformative that's like a couple of years ahead of its time. Most people aren't going to get it, right? You can find like a few people. So I think also just having the ability to like really listen to that internal compass, and actually like just be mindful that a lot of advice that you might get externally. I mean, I'm now giving advice externally as well, so like take that with a grain of salt. But like just don't overweight it, because you are the person who has the most context as the founder, and so just be very mindful that you should listen to whatever you think you should do.
100% agree with that. I think 99.99% of the advice, like if you ask people, they're gonna give it to you, right? Like they're gonna share whatever they think is true. But that's exactly the thing. If they don't, where in reality they are not. Like you are the founder. You have this vision, right? They're just here to support. Like so, I think being bold, right? Have the boldness inside your own spirit, like to have the conviction to just experiment, right? Even if it's wrong, I'm still gonna do it my way. Yeah. I'm gonna learn my lessons. But like the other side, I really feel you on that as well. A lot of my founder friends, including myself, like feel the same way. So awesome. So like the next thing that I'm really curious about, and also a new new question that I bring up only starting in season 2, Tales of Web3, is letting my guests to share one hot take, right? The hotter the better. Controversial takes that you have, no matter in the data landscape, data cross AI, blockchain cross AI, or just the Web3 landscape. But please share one.
Yeah, let me just think for a second. I mean, I don't know how controversial it is, but I think there's too much private funding going into crypto companies these days. And I think people should actually launch sooner. And I think it is net bad for the community, the sort of structure, but I think the market's now correcting. That's like one aspect. I think that, I think a current consensus take is like there's too much infra in crypto. And
yes.
If you are optimistic about crypto and if you believe that we're like actually building not just a new financial system, but like a truly new user-owned internet, then we're still so early, right? We're less than like 1% of the way there. And so in that case, we need a lot more infra, right? And there's actually like so much more to build. So I think that I would also disagree with the current take against infra, because I think that if you are extremely optimistic about the level of adoption that crypto can reach, then it's still day one. Like it's practically day zero, honestly. So that's kind of my view on the infra debate. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to add.
Take your time.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest controversial thing, like on the data side of things? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, on the data side of things, I mean, my big take is like we live under surveillance capitalism where like actually it's crazy people don't realize they own their data, right? Like one of their most valuable assets, they don't even realize is theirs. And so I think that is largely a product of the kind of business models that big tech have built. But if you look at the law, like when you put your data in a platform, it's similar to when you park your car in a parking lot, right? It's not the parking lot's car.
Yeah.
In the same way, it's not the platform's data. And so I think that is obviously a strategic play by big tech. Like they're making a ton of money off of this. But I think that's probably the most non-consensus view, even though, I mean, I'm just sharing what the law says, but most people don't realize it. So that's probably the biggest non-consensus view. I think there's stuff on the perspective of like, the data wall, being able to improve AI models with more data, some interesting kind of research questions related to synthetic data. And there's a lot there, but yeah, the number one thing I would say is like, most people do not realize that they already legally own all of their data. And it's just a question of exercising those rights.
And it's crazy for me. I saw like Reddit sold their data to Google, or I forget which one it is, $60 million. Like, it's just like, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, when is this again? Is it last year? Is it this year?
Yeah. So they're earning like $200 million for just selling their data for AI training.
Oh my God.
Because it's not, a lot of people are like, oh, but like the data is not valuable unless you can advertise to someone through that. But actually, no, like you're just straight up selling anonymized data to make $200 million. So yeah, you can make a lot of money from data. It's I think like a lot of people are unaware of it because it's a bit of an underground industry, right? Like data sales generally kept a little bit quiet. My co-founder used to work at Appen selling data to the big tech companies like Facebook and others. And so we have like a bunch of our old team used to work there and kind of understands that market, but it's not widely known or spoken about because it's kind of awkward, I think. Yeah.
I think
I think my internet might be cutting out.
might have lost Anna a little. Let's give it 1 second to recover. Okay, she will rejoin in a few seconds.
Hey, sorry about that. I'm back.
Hello.
Hi, sorry.
You're back?
Did we
No worries.
upload, or do we get that?
I think I get everything before
Okay,
up until like
sorry about that.
But yeah, we were no worries. We are talking about people already legally own all their data.
Yeah,
They just
people
don't know
legally
about
own all their
that. There's a lot of there's still people are still selling their data underneath the table,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think that's where we we take a pause a little.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Okay. The question I'm really curious is, what is the hardest thing for you guys right now? Bootstrapping ecosystem. I feel like right after 3 years, you guys finally have a product, right? That is usable. There's several data DAOs, like the red ones, like the ChatGPT one, that is ready up and running, right? People can upload their data. So the big problem, what is the biggest challenge that you guys are facing right now?
Yeah, I think that it's there's always so much going on in Web3 and especially in Web3 AI right now. And so if I had to give a single problem, I would say it's actually ensuring that we stay very focused given everything that's going on, and ensuring that we just
so many distractions.
Yeah. So I'd say it's just focus. That's like often a problem, especially when things are going well. Like it's just like you really need to maintain that focus. And I think there can just be a lot of noise, and so you have to just narrow in on, okay, like what actually matters, what do we need to do to be successful. And for Vana, it's about really ensuring that we have the sort of largest data, almost treasury across all these different data sets, right? And the data DAOs contribute to that, ensuring the data DAOs can build successful business models, ensuring they have an understanding of what data is valuable, what data can sell, what they can use it for. And so, yeah, number one problem is maintaining focus and just being relentless about that.
Always hard. Most important thing, but so many people lost track, giving themselves up to those distractions.
Yeah.
It's glad to see that you guys are doing good right now, though. I can definitely see like there's a focus, there's a center around what you guys are doing.
It's sort of like we have a really specific, like we just focused on private user-owned data. That's the only data we work with. That's the only data we support data DAOs for. And so we see that as like the core currency for AI, and we're really starting to see that concentrated bet play out.
Beautiful. The next question is the question that I always ask all my guests. It's also my favorite question. It's about you sharing a story in your journey building Vana. The story can be full of risk taking. It can be about, all these twists, randomness. It can be about fundraising, how you and your co-founder met. What are the biggest struggle that you guys had before and how you overcome it? It can be anything, right? It can also be funny or silly or however you like to take it.
Story along the way. Just thinking for a second. Yeah, there are a lot of like very impactful moments along the way. I'm just thinking about kind of one of the first release.
Take your time. Take your time. This is a hard question,
Yeah. I think one thing that I've been story that I've been reflecting on a lot is just what it's like to get started as a founder, and like especially that early, because that's what a lot of the data DAOs are currently going through. They're building their business from scratch, and I think those early days, like I think our initial fundraise, which Polychain ended up doing, I think we had pitched like 40 investors and gotten all no's, and it was brutal. Like I think that just continuing through the we were like, hey, yeah, we want to turn data into a financial asset. We want to like allow for kind of this like on-chain data marketplace, on-chain data labeling, and it was like really, it was ahead of its time, and people thought it was crazy. Like it was just not. It was rough.
Like all the pioneers are, right? People just don't get it.
I just remember
like
literally like laughed at. I mean, people were actually super nuts. Like I'm so grateful, right? People were just like, look, we can't underwrite this risk, right? No one was like, it's me, but they were just like, this doesn't make sense. Like, what are you doing? And so I think that is like really a foundation, just for any founder, it's like grinding through a rough fundraise. I think that, and it's just constantly taking no. I think early on too, when you don't really have like users, customers, a team, like an ecosystem, it's also very lonely, right? You're just like, am I crazy? Like it's just so early in building all of it out. So yeah, I would mention that as well.
It's also the must go process.
Story. Yeah, I'm trying to think.
You got it. I'm gonna squeeze your heart a little on this because I know you got good stories to tell.
Yeah. Okay. I think that one maybe so we were helping the Reddit data DAO launch, which was the first data DAO launching on Vana, and
yes,
we were like sort of figuring out, okay, what do we do? Like, what does this initial version look like? And it was like, okay, we're just gonna launch like with a governance token. We're going to be really clear that people should not trade this token. We're going to be just using it for governance. And it launched, and then 2 days later, like $150 million market cap, like a huge amount of trading volume. And honestly, the whole Reddit data DAO team was like, what do we do? Like, this is not what we want. Like, we did not expect this to happen. Like, what do we do from here? And so I think that was this really, I feel like it's these constant ups and downs, right? And like when it's up, it's like there's almost like too much stuff going, and so
that's actually the leverage that crypto has, right?
Totally, it's this constant wave. So that was like even like there was a moment where Reddit was trying to shut down the Reddit data DAO. Actually,
I saw that
through because of data regulation, right? Which is a huge victory. I think for Vana and the ecosystem. So those are some very influential moments for us.
And also I feel like, it is these ups and downs that you have to go through with your ecosystem, right? Along the way, that really ties up that relationship and ties up the thing, that the bond, Yeah. So but anyway, thanks so much for sharing that. I do think this is a really cool story to tell. And I think right now we are heading to the last part of this podcast, which is for you to share more about what are some exciting updates on Vana's roadmap and what are some opportunities that people can right now participate. Obviously, they can upload their data right now, but feel free to share if you guys have like an ambassador program where people wanted to be champions, and the stage is yours.
Yeah, so with Vana, one of the big things we're driving towards is kind of mainnet launch. So Vana is a layer 1 that works with private user-owned data. And a lot of the data DAOs today are in kind of beta testing mode, right? So the Reddit one is the only one with a live token. All the other ones are kind of waiting until Vana's L1 launches. And so I think that launch, which is really led by the Vana Foundation, is a milestone that we as a technical team are very excited about. I think that in terms of getting...
Let's go.
I know, yeah. One thing actually is...
Mainnet is always the coolest.
In terms of getting involved, a lot of the data DAOs are like teams of kind of like hackers, builders. And I think like from an ambassador perspective, from a BD perspective, which is kind of what you're asking about, there are really great ways for people to plug into each data DAO, right? Each one has their own kind of go-to-market that they're thinking through, whether it's LinkedIn or 23andMe or another data source. So getting involved there, you can find us like on our Twitter, on Discord. We have an accelerator program for the data DAO. So if you're interested in getting involved, just applying, and we can even see if there's a team that makes sense to build with. A whole bunch of great folks. There are, I think, like over 100 applicants for the next batch, which is so great to see. Just like how many people are now building with user-owned data.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And that put us to an end for this episode. Thanks a lot for joining again, Anna.
Yeah, thanks so much.